morning. I'm in studio again.
I know it. It's good to have you in studio. Thanks for coming out, by the way.
Yeah.
Always good to have you in, and we appreciate you making time for us. Of course, Cailtin, we come up on Halloween on Friday, and I'll tell you what, it being on a Friday this year, I think is gonna make it interesting for a lot of parents.
Yeah.
Friday night, they collect all that candy, and then they've got 2 days uninterrupted to eat it all, right? So, and that's going to be great and good for them, correct?
They might have a stomachache when they're done.
For sure. Let's talk, obviously, moderation with candy, and maybe even just some of the kind of short term health things that go on with candy. I mean, you talk about a stomachache, a sugar rush, the crashing, all those things, just kind of the physiology of it all.
Yeah, so some tips for parents, especially when we're doing trick-or-treating or we're doing the trunk or treats or all the different events through the schools, that if you can, give your kids at least a snack, right? Something more substantial, so that as they're out and playing and finding their friends and looking at costumes, they've got something in their stomach that's not going to be just all sugar.
Mm-hmm.
So what that, most of our candies, especially the typical hard candies, so they're mostly just sugar, right? There's nothing really to slow down the increase of sugar in the blood. And so that can, for some kids, cause that rise. And then, as you said, that crash later. So they're just going to feel kind of tired and cranky, and then maybe a little hungry, depending on what I think we adults have experienced the hangries as well. So kids can get those too.
Oh my gosh, kids can get those. Yes.
So that crankiness. So having, again, something in their stomach before they go out to all these events can really, really help when they are enjoying that candy. Also, that because whoever the adult is in the family that's hanging out, whether it's mom and dad or grandma, grandpa, you're the adult, so you do get to set those boundaries around how much candy you're going to let your kids have for maybe Halloween night, and then knowing that it's not the only time that they're going to get that candy, right? They're going to be able to have opportunities later in the day or later in the weekend, since we have Halloween on Friday this week. So you're allowed to have those boundaries around candy with your kids. And I know there's thoughts around like, well, is it like a tax around like, I, as the parent, I get some of this candy from my kids. Sure. Like, if that helps you, help your kids understand, like, enjoying candy is really fun, but we know that eating a lot of it all at once, probably we've all had those experiences. We can relate to our kids of, I really didn't feel great when I did that. So having those conversations with your kids of, we're going to have a couple pieces today, pick out the ones you really, really want. And then tomorrow we can have some more.
Sure. And with that, for a lot of people, that candy is going to last. I mean, gosh, for us, it lasts well into the new year. It just sits on the table or on the counter or on top of the refrigerator in the bucket, and it is there for a long time. Let's speak to whether it's candy food waste or just general food waste. How about those things, Cailtin?
Yeah, so all that extra candy, it stores decently well. So as long as your home has, it's not, crazy hot where the chocolate's melting, or freezing, that candy is going to last for a while just at room temperature. So you can certainly pack it away if you're like, we're just kind of sick of all the Halloween candy for now. Absolutely, pack it away, put it in a container. It'll stay at room temperature for all. If you have the freezer space and you want to do that really, really long-term storage, you can certainly put that in the freezer for just to hang out and be really, really cold. I know, like, my husband really likes cold chocolate, like frozen chocolate. So for some people, it's also a texture thing. They really enjoy that, like, hard crunch to that coldness. And then in like general food waste around Halloween, right? We're getting into the pumpkins, right? Everybody's carving pumpkins. We're having, I know I've seen houses along our street that have lots of the candles and the Halloween jack-o'-lantern pumpkins. So I did actually want to highlight the pumpkin smash, which is going to be coming up around the state of Illinois.
Okay.
It's basically an opportunity to take your pumpkins after you're done with Halloween and chuck them. Right. You get to throw them at objects. You get to take hammers to them. You just get to have kind of a rage party around smashing your pumpkins. And then all of those will go into composting systems. So they're not going into landfill systems, which is very cool. So Decatur is hosting one November the 8th, which is a Saturday. So from 10 to noon out at Fairview Park. But there are other spots around the state, which is going to be very fun. So food waste is a big issue, not just during Halloween, but throughout the year, right? We're looking at how can we, one, maximize the food that we're eating, so we're not wasting money. 'Cause groceries are super, super expensive. We know inflation's a really big deal right now. So how can we look at saving the foods that we have? So this pumpkin smash is one way to make sure that your foods are going to whether it goes to livestock. So for families that have like chickens on their property or animals, that's one way to send your food scraps to them. Compost options are great. And then inside your home, a lot of skills around planning meals and looking at shopping from your pantry before you go buy more food is really important to reducing that food waste. And then having options for freezing. And then we have some resources within Extension on like produce storage, because we know that those strawberries that sit in the carton sometimes get moldy, and so we can always have those conversations with folks about how do you store your produce, because that fresh fruit's expensive and we want to keep it for a while.
For sure. Well, and we run into a lot in our house, Caitlin, is making a meal and then having leftovers, and we don't get to the leftovers in a timely fashion. So maybe freezing those or finding a way to use those at another in it with a different meal, maybe something along those lines.
Yeah, so that's where meal planning really, really helps reduce that, because you're looking at your calendar for the week maybe and saying, okay, well, I know that we're going to go out to eat with parents on this night, so I don't need a meal then, and we're going to do this kid has sports on this day, so we're just going to do a drive-through restaurant dinner, so I don't need to shop for food for that meal. And so having that plan of, okay, what things do I need to keep in my house, so that we know, all right, well, roughly this is what I need for the week. And so when you do have those things like leftovers, are they good candidates for freezing? So things like soups and chilies are great for that. Sauces for pasta are great. If you do a batch cook of sauces, and you can freeze those sauces in other containers for your freezer, and then pull them out later, in a month for another meal. But planning is the big piece for that. Generally, is if you have that plan and you're able to stick to it, you're going to help reduce that food waste quite a bit.
I wanted to get to something you mentioned in your notes with me this morning, and you talked about the pumpkin smash coming up at various places across the state. A really good idea, and it doesn't have to just be for pumpkins, but reusing seeds of the produce that you bring into your house. I think of like jalapenos. I mean, oh my gosh, a friend of mine, we do a garden every year, and I just have, a pile. I'm not kidding, a pile of jalapenos, Caitlin. Pull the seeds out of that. Pull the seeds out of those pumpkins, maybe before you chuck them. That sort of thing. How about those things?
Yeah, so seed saving, absolutely. If you are growing a garden, or even sometimes some foods will regrow like a second time. So something like lettuce, if you're pulling from the outer leaves, that center core continues to grow. Or even I've done this where for like green onions, if you put them in my cut green onion, right? I keep the bulb part, the white of the onion, and I'll put that in a little glass, just a little bit of water, and it will shoot another green onion just for like maybe one more time. It's not going to give me another full green onion, but it'll give me maybe another little bit of onion that I can add to as a garnish on a dish. So there's ways to almost reuse that food in there. And then seed saving is definitely on the gardening side of it. So we invite everyone listening to call our Master Gardener volunteers, because they would have all the details on how to save seeds, especially if you're doing gardening. Because jalapenos give you lots of seeds, and pepper plants give you lots of peppers.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I have heard, one, I can't remember who it was, said sometimes you don't want to do that with the seeds from your the garden that is like the garden that you are pulling them from. I don't know what the science is behind that. I thought I heard that somewhere, but those master gardeners would be able to maybe walk you through that piece.
Yeah, and since that's not my expertise, I think that that's a great resource to come to, because that's what I've also heard, is that some plants you can replant from seed and you'll get the same variety, but sometimes you plant that seed and you get like a new variety, which is very interesting. And I'm not sure on the science on that either, but our master gardeners are always trained in that, so they're a great resource.
I've planted tomatoes, and then the next year not planted tomatoes, and I still have tomatoes.
You got volunteers.
Yes. So it's interesting when that happens, for sure. Caitlin, anything on Halloween food waste we didn't touch on this morning you want to put out there for us?
Well, I'll just give a preview. So my plan for 2026 is to offer more programming on food waste. And so for folks that are thinking, I feel like I throw away a lot of food, I feel like I'm wasting money, into the trash with all the things that I buy, just know that I'm going to have some programming coming up. So I'll do a little
Yeah.
Little hint there.
Yeah, we'll talk about that here in just a moment. Again, Cailtin Mellendorf, nutrition educator with the U of I Extension in DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt counties. Can we quickly talk canning? Because we are, towards the end of that garden growing season. Can we just highlight that real fast?
Yeah, so our food preservation resources, so canning, freezing, drying, and fermentation, are all ways to take those garden foods or your farmer's market foods or your grocery foods and save them for longer storage. So this is actually another great food waste topic. So for canning, I'm going to send everybody to our food preservation page. So go.illinois.edu/food. We'll have links to all of the different food resources. One of them is food preservation. So canning is a great way to put foods in jars, heat them in whether it's a water bath or a pressure canner, depending on the type of food you're canning. And I'll have a shelf-stable product that is good. We recommend for up to a year at room temperature. And then you have gotten to use all of those fresh garden veggies that we're finishing up for the year. So this time of year, we might be getting like maybe the last bits of the peppers and maybe some like winter squash or maybe popping in. So it's a great way to preserve foods. I know for my colleague, she just told me she's working on a class around sauerkraut. So it's another great way. Cabbage is a fall crop. So for anyone that's growing cabbage right now that's coming into season, sauerkraut's a great way to ferment those foods, and you get those beneficial bacteria and you get the nice crisp saltiness that is sauerkraut.
Yeah, those leftover tomatoes, for some chili or something like that, some stew maybe. And
I'm impressed. You still have tomatoes?
No, I don't.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
Those ended a long time ago. Tomatoes didn't do well for us this year. Yeah, I know. Those garden fresh tomatoes are just they just slap. But at any rate, Cailtin, on that note, do we need to talk about anything else when it comes to canning or preserving foods this time of the year?
So a great resource for this time of year, as maybe you're finishing up canning for the season, you're packing things in storage. You can come get your canner lid tested. So for pressure canners, the dial gauge type canner lids are ones that we test for free. So that's takes about 10-15 minutes for me to test that. It's a free test, and you get just an update on your gauge and making sure that's still reading correctly. Because we want to really make sure, especially when we're pressure canning, that our information that we're getting is reading correctly, and so that we're canning properly.
Very good. Where do folks find more on canning, all the preserving methods? Where do they go for that, Cailtin?
Yeah, so our website is go.illinois.edu/food, and then on the top tab was food preservation. We even have free downloads. We've got recorded webinars from past trainings on YouTube if people want to go watch those instead.
Very, very good. Again, Cailtin Mellendorf, nutrition educator, University of Illinois Extension in DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt counties, in studio with us. More to come with Cailtin on the morning show.
WHOW.
MR Systems Wireless is your local internet provider for Clinton and surrounding area. They have the products you want and the local service you deserve. MR Systems Wireless Internet service for home or business includes unlimited data, unlimited streaming, and unlimited calling. Plans start at just $48 a month and get a free Roku 4Ls with our media packages. Get the speed you need with MR Systems Wireless. Call them at 935-2100. That's 935-2100 for MR Systems Wireless.
Shane Steinberg here from Highway 51 Exchange, your equipment rental headquarters, south of Clinton on US 51. Check our banner ad on DeWittDailyNews.com to book online today and pick up tomorrow. Highway 51 Exchange.
If you're tired of worrying about home maintenance and stairs, at Hickory Point Garden Homes in Forsyth, you don't have to. Enjoy independent living duplexes that are half the cost of traditional independent living options. Find out more by clicking their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Closeout time is here for a new Chevrolet. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. Yes, we have a good selection of 25 Silverados remaining in regular and crew cab models with gas or diesel engines. Some with utility beds and dual roof wheels. Also see our remaining Colorados, Trailblazers, even our full-size Suburban and Tahoes, all priced to move out. See our 25 inventory today at BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
AgriTalk is the radio talk show for American agriculture. Hi, everybody. I'm Chip Flory, your host. We join you weekday mornings from 10 until 11 on WHOW on AM and FM and on the WHOW streams. We provide farmers and ranchers with timely insights and information aimed at improving their operations. Join me, Chip Flory, weekdays at 10:06 on Central Illinois Ag Station, WHOW.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, my guest in studio today is Cailtin Mellendorf, nutrition educator with the University of Illinois Extension in DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt counties. And Cailtin, as we talk here for this morning, let's talk convenient foods. We're coming up on the time of year where it's just going to get crazy. We're going to be all over the place. We were just talking holidays and plans and all that. We're going to be on the road and things, for families. They've got, the sports are coming up and all the things, and convenience is going to be a huge, just a huge factor in food preparation. How about this?
Yeah. So I want to invite people. It is okay to use the convenience foods, right? Like we have very busy lives, and the convenience foods are there for that purpose, to really help us save on time, save on skill set, right? Some people may not have a lot of interest in cooking. Some people just don't have maybe the skills or the practice around preparing foods. How to cut an onion is a skill.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not a skill that you want. Buying pre-cut onions in your deli section, great option, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I invite people, just look at it as an option. And then there are levels of convenience, right? We have like the full prepared meals. Like we can go to the freezer section. We can have those microwave dinners.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of companies are now doing the pre-made meal kits. So they're already kind of assembled, or you can do some really, really quick assembly before cooking. So there's that level. And then there's more kind of that more individual food item level that I talked about, like the cut onions in your produce section, right? If you're not someone that wants to cut an onion and deal with the tears that come from cutting onions sometimes, having those pre-cut, containers, sometimes that's a big time saver for people. I know I've even seen pre-cut onions like in a freezer bag in the freezer section, which is great. So there are those different levels of convenience. So find what works for you to do the level of food prep that you want. And then in terms of nutrition, right? If you are looking for some of those more prepared foods, those more processed items, do start looking at nutrition options, right? Can you buy, like, even canned foods are a convenience item, right? Canned green beans are something that I know I use a lot, because fresh produce is not always super available in my grocery store, but canned green beans are a good quality. It's a good price tag for me. And it's a nice convenience item that all I have to do is open the can, drain off the liquid, and heat them up. But then I start looking for things like, can I do less sodium? Can I buy a no salt added option? Can I buy a lower sodium or a reduced sodium can? Same for looking at things like even like instant oatmeal. I'm seeing now more instant oatmeal with like added fiber or added protein. So looking at what are some of the ways to kind of add in nutrition. So adding in extra fiber, things like cereal bars, right? If you're looking for a convenience item for a breakfast on the go, if you're going to grab a cereal bar out the door, look for something that has a little bit of extra protein and a little bit of extra fiber, because those are going to help keep you fuller for longer, rather than a bar that's just more carbohydrates. It's going to digest pretty quick, and probably in an hour or two, you're going to find yourself looking for more food. So having some of that extra nutrition is really important. But also then looking at, we talked about, reducing salt, but also reducing sugar. I think a lot of companies are doing a nice job about giving reduced sugar options. May not be their initial product, but they may have a second product that is a lower sugar option, which is great to look for. So there's a lot of ways to be flexible with that. But I know convenience foods get a bad rap, but I do want to invite people that there are options that they can still include in their diets and still have nutrition, because nutrition is important, to me as a nutrition educator, but also I know to a lot of people that want to look at, how do I incorporate more nutrition, but still have a convenient, quick, on the go kind of thing. There are options out there.
Yeah. I've been one where I want to just dice my own garlic, right? I just want to chop my own garlic. And now, Cailtin, I'm finding, that garlic option, not so bad.
Yeah.
I've always kind of thumbed my nose at that one, but like it's not so bad. I don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's giving ourselves permission that convenience is okay, right? If it gives you the opportunity to spend, where your priorities are, like
Mhm.
maybe it's just time. Time is your priority and you want that dinner on at the table in 20 minutes
Mhm.
because you're helping kids with homework and getting their, school gear set for the next day. It's okay. It's okay to use those convenience foods.
Sure. Well, let's wrap up. You mentioned you've got some classes coming up. Let's highlight a few of those. What do you have on the calendar here, Caitlin?
Yeah. So for the month of November, we're going to do kind of a quick 2 days in a row. So November the 13th, we're going to have a snacking lesson that we're going to call Building Better Bites. And that's going to be at our office here in Clinton, the DeWitt County Extension Office. That focus is on how to build better bites. So how do we take snacking? How do we include nutrition in our snacks? How do we shop for snacks? How do we incorporate those and understand like hunger and fullness cues? Because sometimes if you are someone that just kind of grazes throughout the day, having a snack, something maybe you're just like, I don't know, I just ate some food. So being a little more intentional about snacking. And then the next day, November the 14th, I'm going to be having my last in-person heart health class for the year over in Farmer City at Outreach. And we're going to talk about 4 different nutrients are related to heart health. And then my colleague is going to be at Weldon Public Library also on November the 14th. And she's going to be doing a holiday class with festive flavors around appetizers and dips. And she's going to have some recipes for folks to sample.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you what, the holidays are right around the corner. I know next time you and I get together, that's going to be the focus of the conversation, obviously. Now, did you tell me, someone told me that like next year Extension's really dialing in on diabetes awareness. Did I hear that right? I know that's a big thing for you.
So I would have to double check. I don't know specifically, but I know that is one of my goals is to kind of rotate between diabetes and heart health. So I did
heart health,
and
yes.
so next year my focus will include some diabetes classes. So
Sure.
and I'm always excited when other agencies are also doing diabetes. So I know here in Clinton, Warner Hospital has a program going on around diabetes care. So lots of resources with different clinics and hospitals in the areas, which is great.
I would be remiss if I didn't ask what's in season right now for the fruits and vegetables.
Our always favorite topic. So we are looking at some of those cold weather crops. So broccoli and cauliflower and cabbage, a lot of those cruciferous vegetables are in season right now. And then a lot of things that we can grow in the springtime. So we tend to think of like lettuces and radishes are also coming kind of back into season because it's colder weather. And then winter squash is definitely popping. I think there's so many varieties of winter squash. So I'm looking forward to myself. I'm, at least a couple times in the winter, I'll make a butternut squash soup with carrots. And it's just a nice, cozy meal.
For sure. Very good. Keep an eye out for those. Caitlin, best place for folks to learn more about all things nutrition and U of I Extension.
Yeah. So come visit us in any of our offices in DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt County, or find us online at go.illinois.edu/DMP for DeWitt, Macon, Piatt.
Very good. Cailtin Mellendorf, nutrition educator, U of I Extension in DeWitt, Macon, Piatt Counties. Network news on the way.